Like it? How about this one?
That I didn't see coming. Thanks for tuning in to Game On Online Gaming Radio. Today is Monday, October 8th, 2012. I'm your host for the night, Trueflight, and here by my side,
Zanadi.
We got a good show for you this week. Normally we're going to be doing this show live, and you can join us in our IRC hosted by globalgamers.net. And chat with us by heading over to www.onlinegamingradio.com and clicking the Chat Live button in the top right corner of the page. It'll open a Mibit IRC client and take you right to us. Also, you can reach us by email with your questions, comments, and suggestions. I'm Trueflight at onlinegamingradio.com.
And I'm Zanadi at onlinegamingradio.com.
Tonight's show is pre-recorded. While you can still hop on the IRC, I might be in there. Zanadi is working tonight, so she may not be. Let's see, on this week's show, got a little more Guild Wars 2. Zan got a chance to play some Munchkin. We picked up a new game to play with the kids. And new update to World of Tanks, too. I want to bring that up.
That one's all you.
So what have you been playing the last 2 weeks since our last show?
I think the only thing I've been playing is Guild Wars 2. I logged into EverQuest 2 for a few minutes and nobody's really there.
I logged into EQ2 for a little bit. I'm trying to get my gear and stuff around because at the end of the month it reverts to free again. So I gotta make sure I actually have some decent gear so I can do something if I decide to go back.
Yeah, most of my girls are all the... I'm an alcoholic, and most of mine I've gotten all the way up in levels already. And unless I want to go find some huge group, I'm really kind of as far as I can go.
See, I'm the social gamer.
You tend to be very antisocial when it comes to games, which is very odd that you play MMOs.
Yeah, it's weird. So I tend to go off a lot on my own, so it really doesn't affect me, but I don't know, like I've got 2 guys, I think, almost level 60 in Guild Wars 2, and other than you, I don't think I've grouped with anybody.
See, I kind of tend to be a bit social in my games, and I think that's why EverQuest 2 is kind of bothering me a little bit. There just isn't as many people there as there used to be. And because of that, but there again in Guild Wars 2, I'm starting to have the same problem.
Let's see, I played a little bit of World of Tanks. Have not been playing that as much as usual lately because the last patch I do not like, and I'll get into that later. Did some MechWarrior Online Beta. I love that game. And, of course, Guild Wars 2. Then very slowly playing my Magic the Gathering Online 2 because we got the new Ravnica update, and now I've got 5 million things I need to unlock. So, where should we begin on our topics this week?
That is totally up to you.
I have one. And this was actually sent in by a listener, which I really am ashamed to admit. I copied it down and apparently deleted the email without writing down the person's name.
We have listeners?
Yes, we do.
Woohoo!
So, I'm sorry. I apologize ahead of time. I do not have the user's name who sent in the question. I feel terrible.
You should.
They want to know our feelings on this. Pay-to-play games. If you pay for a subscription fee, do you feel obligated to play?
You want to answer first, or should I?
EverQuest 2 is a great example of that. We were paying the $15 a month to be gold members. And I kind of do. There were times when I wasn't playing and I'm like, well, hell, I already paid for the month. I really need to play. And there's times I logged in just because it was already paid for.
Well, I mean, if you've already paid $15 to pay for the month, you're honestly just a total waste of money if you're not playing. So, yeah, I think you kind of are obligated to play. I mean, otherwise you might as well have just taken $15 and tossed it in the garbage.
You see, not even so much as money-wise. I mean, like World of Tanks, once a day you get a double XP bonus for the first win. And there's days where I don't log in there and I kind of feel like I'm wasting that because I'm not getting my bonus each day. So that's even worse when you're actually paying for it and not playing.
Yeah. See, I didn't mind paying for EverQuest 2 when I was playing, I might not have played every single day. Okay, so for a while I was an addict and I did play every single day. But there are times when I, only logged in a few times a week. But I was still a regular player. That's why I can't really see paying for it right now because I don't log in very often. If I'm only logging in once a week for 5 or 10 minutes just to see what's going on, it's not worth $15 a month for that. And that's why I'm glad that at this point that they've gone free to play. I'm not missing as much. I can still talk to people if I like. Granted, we have a little bit of a boost on that we're paying customers for so long, so they only moved us down to, was it silver? Yeah, we're not completely at the bottom. We still have access to channels where generally you would have to pay, it's like $5. It's a one-time fee instead of a monthly fee to get access to that. Because we were paying members, we only moved down and we have access to those.
I think anybody who has gold access and reverts down goes to silver.
Yes, they do because because you were a paying customer. You do get a little bit of bonuses to that. You only go to silver.
You know what I do miss though is the Android app that used to let me access my guild chat and online channels.
I never had that to begin with, so I guess I can't really say I miss it.
I think it was the first or second year we went to Fanfare. I picked that up and I used it to send updates to our guild mates who couldn't come to Fanfare. I don't think you could get the level chat through it, but it was guild chat, pretty much any of the custom channels. I had the OGR channel on there. It was neat, but it was very buggy, and apparently rather than fix the bugs, they decided to just scratch the whole program.
Yeah, I guess I never really... I remember you playing with it.
Oh, here's another question. It's something I brought up already. Unsocial habits in social games. Whether it be soloing, and I do that a lot, or another one I'm guilty of came to mind. Have you ever helped somebody, especially in Guild Wars 2, I see a lot of this, where you can actually go up and help somebody, but don't ever actually talk to them? Be it rezzing someone, that's probably the most common, but I found it where like I'm trying to get to one of the vistas through the jumping puzzles, and I'll see someone trying to do one that I've already done or I just finished, and I'll like run over to them and I'll jump up and down and then go show them the path to get to it, but I never actually talk to them. Or is that just me and my unsocial behavior?
Originally, if you'd asked me a few days ago, I might have said yes, that that kind of thing seems to happen a lot. But over the last few days, I had today off, and I've been playing Guild Wars a little bit more. And Guild Wars is a big one because you can help with so much. You can res someone. You can be on your own, completely on your own if you want. You don't need a group for most things. So I mean, you definitely have that line. And I'm finding that even when people are rezzing, they may say something. When someone comes up to res me, I know I go into just the say chat and I thank them for it. And I would say 80% of the time, I get a response.
So I guess it's just me being unsocial. I do say thank you when somebody reses me.
Well, on the other hand, I just died in Guild Wars 2. Someone came over. Actually, I rallied. You don't actually die. You have a chance to get back
yeah,
up.
that too.
So, well, as I'm trying to get back up, somebody came over, gave me the boost up, helped me kill the mob, and then just ran off when he was done.
Yeah, for those who don't know, in Guild Wars 2, when you get down to 0 health, you don't instantly die. You kind of fall down, and while you're on the ground, you have a chance to use a couple random abilities or to regain health to get yourself back up. Kind of like the purple zone in EQ2, except you can actually do something. And if one of the mobs that you're fighting dies, it gets you back up with like 20% health or something. So not only can anyone in the game come over and actually try to res you by they stand next to you for a minute and you regain health and you'll get back up, or if they kill one of the mobs that were attacking you, that will also get you back up. It's kind of a neat little thing.
Well, the thing about Guild Wars 2 is the fact of you really can play completely on your own. You don't need a group for most anything, and even in groups, everybody does everything. There is no defined role of tank, healer. There are abilities that allow you to heal other people, but...
I was going to say there's no defined casters. That's about the only one there really is.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm playing with. What I'm playing with tonight is the caster.
I started a caster, but I've been having way too much fun playing my ranger and my engineer.
I absolutely adore my warrior, but I'm an alcoholic and thought I should probably start another one. And how much more different can you get from the warrior than the mesmer?
Maybe it's just the zone that I was in, but I think it was a few nights ago. They did a patch, and ever since then, the mobs have had this stupid ability that I despised when they added it to EQ2, and then they finally took it out. But one of the random guys that you're fighting, if you're fighting a group of 2 or 3, will try to run around and get behind you. And my engineer uses pistols, which only shoot forward. So as soon as they get beyond, like, your shoulder, you can't shoot them anymore. So you're constantly turning, trying to get this guy in front of you. He's constantly turning to get behind you, and neither of you can hurt each other. And it's really annoying.
See, now, I can't say that I've seen that.
Well, see, your main's a warrior, and using swords, you basically auto-turn to face the person you're fighting anyway.
This is true.
It's a weird thing with the pistols. I think the shotguns do it, too.
Well, we'll find out. I just put a pistol in my mesmer's offhand. So I suppose we'll find out.
See, I don't know what it does with the offhand. It's the main hand is the problem.
I'm still not 100% sure I'm going to like the mesmer.
I was told the offhand used the war horn on the mesmer. Makes them an awesome fighting machine. Whatever spells you get for using it.
At this point, I'm level 2, so I don't really get a choice. It was a pistol or something else from the last quest.
I'm going to talk about engineers for a minute. They have some of the coolest kits and weapon options in the game. But then, compared to everybody else their own level, why do they suck so much? Just say, I have my engineer's level 60, my ranger's level 60, and I don't think my engineer could come close to touching my ranger's damage.
How is he on hit points compared, though?
He has no hit points.
Okay, I was going to say, because what I'm finding right now is my mesmer. Now, granted, she's sitting at level 2 right this second, but she already looks as if her damage output's going to be a lot higher than my warrior. But my warrior has the warrior has the hit points
and the armor.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, these two wear the same armor. Have generally close to the same hit points. The real big difference is, like I said, the engineer gets all these cool different weapon kits. I absolutely love the flamethrower. But it doesn't really scale to level like your equipment does. So my pistol, the damage output on the pistols I'm using are like twice what the flamethrower could be. Although the flamethrower does hit multiple targets. But honestly, after using the grenade kit, there's really, other than just having fun, which is mostly why I use the flamethrower, because it's just too much fun, there is no reason to ever use any kit other than the grenade kit. It's just kind of annoying because it doesn't have an auto attack. But it hits multiple targets, it does massive amounts of damage, and there's different types for different situations. I just think they need more balance is all.
Well, EQ2 was quite unbalanced in most people's opinion when it first came out. So I have no doubt that it's going to be like this, and it'll eventually settle itself out.
We just have so many nifty things. Like for an engineer, you can put down turrets, and there's all different sorts of turrets, and they're cool and all, but they die in like one hit. The turrets don't have near enough hit points. So they put out a little bit of damage, but then they get one-shotted by a mob and they don't do you any good, and you can't recast them for like 30 seconds to a minute or two. And I still haven't figured out what to use for my last ability. I've been picking through them. I really wanted the Golem, and I thought he's a lot of fun. I've used him quite a bit. But he only lasts for 40 seconds, which is nice enough to help you with a boss fight, but that's pretty much it. The one I use the most often is the supply crate, which drops in a crate of, gives you one healing turret, one net turret, a flame turret. Again, they all die in one hit, so they're not around too long. And a bunch of medic packs that heal you for like 200 hit points.
Those are neat.
They're neat, but they don't do nearly enough. When the guy you're fighting's hitting you for, 500 to 1,000 a hit, and you pick up a thing that heals you for 200.
True.
I've actually been in a fight, dropped that, and I think it dropped 6 kits. I've picked up all 6 and didn't even notice a difference in my hit points. So, little things that annoy me about it. I do love my flamethrower, though. I think if it just gave you the bonuses, like when you put the gemstones on your weapons, they give you the little special abilities.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you get to keep those when you use the kit, it would make it that much better. It'd be nice to have those apply to the flamethrower. But I guess when you get towards the end game and you start getting some of the really cool ones, it probably makes it overpowered, which is probably why they didn't do it.
Probably.
But yeah, I don't notice the flamethrower doing a lot more damage now than it did when I was in my 20s, which is kind of sad.
I have not actually had a chance to play with the flamethrower yet.
You don't know what you're missing.
I'm hearing you over there yelling about it.
I'm sure you can hear it in the background. I did find one perk to it. Those, what are those things called? The little chameleon-looking guys who turn invisible.
I don't know. They're really annoying. Skanks.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Those guys, it'll still hit them while they're invisible. So you just crank up the flamethrower, and if you aim it in the right direction, they end up dying, even if they're invisible. It's kind of fun. They reappear dead and smoking. Anyway, on to the next topic. It's up your alley, so maybe you'll have a lot of input on this one. Role-playing. Public versus private. Game versus game. I'm noticing myself in Guild Wars 2, there is a lot of public roleplay, actually.
I suppose that depends on where you are. I have found just about none of it.
See, I constantly run into people, whether it be just wandering around the city doing things in character, or even I've seen entire guilds out on the world maps doing things. We ran by somebody last week or so. It was a bunch of guildies just walking down the street carrying on a conversation together. I thought that was kind of funny. But I've seen people doing entire quest lines together as a group.
I've seen that a few times, but my big issue with it right now is I'm seeing it. I'm having a difficult time joining into it. My last 8 years in EverQuest 2, actually I can't say that. My first year in EverQuest 2, I was not a role player. We switched servers and we kind of became role players. And that has been pretty much my main focus of MMOs ever since. I really, really enjoy that aspect of the game. And that seems to be the one major aspect in Guild Wars 2 that I am lacking.
Well, I got two things. One of them, I don't see a lot of private. I don't know how to describe it, but private's the best way to do it. In EQ2, we had bar nights, tavern nights. Everybody would get together, hang out, RP. You'd have people from multiple guilds, different factions all together doing it. We had all sorts of things like that. We did the Festival of Unity. There was the different festivals for the different factions. And I don't see a lot of that type of stuff.
I think the reason you don't see that is not only is the game pretty much still brand new and people are getting used to things, there are no private places. There's no houses or taverns that you can decorate to your liking. Everything is public. If you want to do a tavern night, you're literally out in a public tavern. So there really isn't any private RP. And there's no channels. Even if you want to do, channel RP or you're looking for something specific, there's no level chat. There's no. Everything is pretty much. If you want to talk, it's out in the world.
Which can go both ways. It's nice because it gets it out there. Like I said, I've seen a lot of public RP, and that's probably the reason I see so much.
It's one thing when it's in SAYS, but you definitely don't want to do it out in the world chat, which seems to be one of the main channels. And it gets so cluttered because everybody's in one channel. I actually turn it off because
map chat in Guild Wars 2 is not much different than level chat was in EverQuest.
Right, and I turned that off as well. The problem is you have everyone in there because there really are no other chats. You're looking at it right now. There's Guild, SAYS, Map Chat, which is everything, your individual party.
Well, Map is only the current zone you're in.
Oh, I thought Map was. Well, in any case, you're still getting tons of stuff. And I can't stand to see all of that. So I'm actually coming to find that my chat is near empty all the time. So I literally feel like I'm playing by myself.
And I went to load the game back up, and apparently there was a patch.
Which game?
Guild Wars 2.
Oh, hopefully it's a patch that saves my life. I'm about to die again. I'm dying a whole lot more than I expected to as a Muslim.
You're a soloing caster at low level. I can't imagine why you're dying. The other thing I had to say on the topic of roleplay is, in EQ2 we had 6, 7 years, 8 years to get to know the backstory, the world. Plus we played EQOA on top of that, so we knew a little bit of the history to build our characters and our roleplay around.
Oh, definitely. I truly feel like a noob and like I've been just completely thrown in the wash and it almost feels as if everyone expects you to know it, and when you don't, I don't want to have to do homework to enjoy my game. And that's kind of what it feels like.
We didn't play Guild Wars 1, so we know none of the history. So coming into this, they expect you to know the history from Guild Wars 1, and we don't.
Nope, not a thing.
Like, I have a silly question that probably has an easy answer somewhere, but we were just doing a zone today, and actually it was part of one of the main quests, I think. And it involved them digging up dwarven ruins to get some kind of book that was written in Dwarvish. There's no dwarves.
They must be hiding somewhere.
In all of Guild Wars 2 so far, I have not seen one mention of dwarves until we got to that. And now they're talking about all these dwarven ruins, dwarven books and language, and as far as I know, there weren't any dwarves in this.
I have all sorts of silly questions, I'm sure.
See, we need to get a Guild Wars 1 fanatic on here that can at least fill us in on some lore.
I don't know. I've got a Norn warrior, and I'm really enjoying her personal story.
We are getting to the point where our personal stories have started crossing. And I will give kudos to the developer, whoever it was, who came up with what level was it? A 62? Part of the 62 storyline, I went through and helped her character complete hers, and I was on the same step. And even though we were in her instance for her character, when it was all done, because we tried this at lower level and it made us do everything twice. And when we finished it at this higher level instance, when we were done, it says I completed it as well and qualified to continue on. And I had the choice whether I wanted to do it myself in my own instance or just check it off and go on to the next part.
That may have been just a patch that they put in for all of it. That seems more likely, being that the stories could overlap, or you two people could be running the exact same character, running the same story.
Well, at lower levels, you have a lot more choices.
Right.
You know, you have the 3 different guilds that you can work for. You have, different choices along the way on what to do here or there and who to join. And when you get higher up like we are now, they start all coming together.
Yeah, I definitely
mission
will give kudos for the fact of that they actually ask you if you want to do that or not.
Yeah, instead of just doing it too. But yeah, I think it had more in part to do with the fact that it's being higher like that. All 3 of the houses were there working together for that quest, so it didn't matter what house you were a member of.
Mm-hmm.
You still could get credit for it. But anyway, I thought that was a cool idea. How about the difference between casual and hardcore gamers? And where do you fall on that line?
At one point I would have told you I was a hardcore gamer. I was on every night, most of the evening, after the kids were settled, but I was at least on every single night.
So I think it comes down to how you define hardcore.
I think I more of would define hardcore not as what you do, but maybe how often you're on and active, not just sitting AFK, but actually active. And I used to be extremely active and on every night, and not so much anymore.
See, I admit I was the same way. I was on every night playing, but when I think of hardcore gamers, I think of raiders who are doing something 5 nights a week for the guild. Doing events.
Not so
here.
much though, because you don't have to be a raider to do RP events, or
This is true.
there's so much in a game that you can actually do. Raiding honestly is not the end all be all for everyone.
Well, no, but I consider myself a gamer, but not truly a hardcore gamer. When I think of hardcore gamers, I think of those guys who sitting there with spreadsheets trying to figure out what equipment they need to get to best min-max, so that they make party 1 for the raid on Friday. So like I said, it really comes down to how you describe hardcore.
Yeah, it does.
I think I played too many games to be considered hardcore at any one. I'm the jack of all trades.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't consider myself a hardcore gamer anymore. I'm doing too much outside of the games, between working and the kids and
So I'm just
everything else
content
I've
on
got
turning
going
the
on.
kids into gamers. I've gotten them hooked on several new games now. We got a new one I ordered tonight, which is on the way. I ordered us Ascension, Chronicle of the Godslayer. It's actually outdated because they're up to, I think, third extra expansion on top of that. But I figured we start at the beginning, and if they like it, then we'll worry about getting the others. And it was like half price, so I had to pick it up. I've played it because our local shop has a copy open. We play it down there all the time. So I love the game, but it's been so expensive, so when I found it on sale, I couldn't pass it up. It's an interesting game. It's a board game / card game. It's a deck building game, as they call it. You start out with the same 5 cards as everybody else, or it's actually 10. And they either have, I'm trying to remember what they call them, I believe it's runes, or power. And you use them to either attack other cards or buy other cards. And anything you buy gets added to your deck and eventually shuffled in, and eventually that comes up, so your deck gets better and better as the game goes. It's an interesting game. And there's little themes and combos you can buy.
I'll play when it comes.
Yeah, the expansions. It starts as a up to 4-player. I think the first expansion that came out is a standalone 2-player game, or you can add it to the original and make it go up to 6-player. And then the ones from there just kind of expand on top of that. Adds new cards, new creatures, the ability to support more players. We tried playing with more than 6 people once at the shop, and the problem we ran into is you run out of the basic cards that everybody's supposed to start with. And if you short people on what basic cards they start with, then it makes it really hard to get going. So it was an interesting learning experience. So definitely having the expansions to add more of the base cards in make it so much easier. But on the same note, we're probably only ever going to have the 4 or 5 of us playing. But the first game in the series is Ascension Chronicle of the God Slayer. Then there's Ascension Return of the Fallen, which is the 2-player add-on. And then Storm of Souls, which I believe is another full game. And then there's a new one coming called Immortal Heroes. So if everybody likes it, we'll look into buying the add-ons and adding to it. There's a bunch of promo cards too. I know they have a bunch down at the shop. Wonder if he'll let me get him since I didn't order the game from him.
Don't know.
Zan got in her first game of Munchkin last night since we were in Las Vegas.
A year ago.
Yeah, it was over a year ago.
Over a year.
Last fanfare. We played Munchkin Bites with a bunch of our friends down there.
While waiting for our plane.
Yep. We actually bought it a couple nights before, and we played it a few times.
Mm-hmm.
But we have the original Munchkin now. My daughter bought it for her birthday. What else did we get? And 2 of the expansions that go with it. But yeah, we got to play last night. It was an interesting game. You didn't say it.
Because I'm still fuming over it.
I was waiting for her to say it, because she used the same quote over and over all night.
He stole my arms.
I stole her firearms.
The very first thing he does. The very first. I have one turn through enough to lay them down.
Say, it was my second turn.
I don't even get to use them. And he steals my arms. I was so proud of these arms. Because I'd forgotten how to play. And I remembered to play these.
For anyone who's not familiar with Munchkin, it's a card game. And basically the idea is to screw over your opponents and be the first person to make it to level 10.
Which your husband will do as he pilfers your arms.
Zan plays a card. What was it? I don't even remember what it was now. Something that gave her an extra arm. So basically she had 3 arms. And then plays a card called Firearms, which basically lights your arms on fire and makes them all +3 weapons. And now that she has 3 of them, that makes her a +9. Well, it just so happened that I drew the army helmet, as they call it, which is a helmet with an arm sticking off of it, which gives me 3 arms. So I stole her firearms so that I could get that +9. And then I got off to this huge lead. I don't know what turn it was, but I managed to get like 5 levels in one turn.
Like on the 3rd turn.
And
it was insane.
The goal was to get to 10, and I got all the way up to 9. And then for the life of me, I could not draw another monster the rest of the game.
Yeah, and when you did, it was what, a level 1?
Well, hang on. And then Zan got up to 9, and so me and her are fighting, so she finally gets a decent creature out, and it was one that wasn't even going to attack her, but I replaced it with a bigger one, and basically made her run away from it.
Meanwhile, the poor children.
Yeah, they were doing all they could to try to keep up. And then, the very last turn, I drew a level 1 creature, which basically is a one-shot kill. I don't even remember what I was up to at the time. I was up to almost 20-something with all my gear.
Something terrible, so...
And the kids tried to boost it up. They tried to help. They got it up to level 3, I think it was. 3 or 4. So yes, I won. I beat Zan and the kids.
By stealing my arms.
By stealing her firearms. If you haven't checked out Munchkin and you're into weird party fun games, that one's an awesome one. And there's tons of different versions of it too. The basic one is kind of medieval role-playing, Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. There's a superhero one, there's a space one, zombies, there's a cowboy one, there's a pirate one, Munchkin Booty. I did a brand new one that just came out this month called Apocalypse Munchkin.
There's quite a few of those Munchkin expansions and such out.
I did get them, yeah, I think for the base game there's 8. And I did get a tweet from Steve Jackson Games, the manufacturer, who said something about this October, which it is right now, so it could be any time this month. They're going to be releasing basically foil packs with random cards in it, similar to like what you would get for Magic or, whatever, collectible card game type thing. So I'm going to be on the lookout for those. I want to talk about the Magic the Gathering pre-release for Return to Ravnica. It was last weekend. And a pretty cool event. You get to pick one of the 5 guilds that were in the set. Selesnya, which is green-white. Golgari, which is green-black. Rakdos, which was black-red. Izzet, which is red-blue. And Azorius, which is white-blue. I went with Selesnya. I actually prefer red-green, but that's not till next set. But cool event. Went in, got a pre-release. Was basically you paid your entry fee, varied between stores. Ours was $30. You got what equates to a fat pack. There was a box. Had your guild logo on the front. Had 5 regular boosters plus 1 booster that was specially tailored to match the colors of your guild. And each one had a promo card and a life spin down counter. A couple other neat things. There was like a postcard from your guild leader and like a checklist of things you could check off during the night for completing. The downside was, being that our venue was one of the more cheaper places around, instead of the normal 10 or so people we get for an event, there was probably close to 100. The place was packed, to the point we actually ran out of chairs. They had people standing at the counter playing. So I ended up leaving because I'm not a big fan of crowds. So it kind of sucks because I missed out on the giveaways and things. But yeah, I missed the event, but I still got my cards. Got some cool stuff. Got a few rares. Some interesting new cards in the set. Can't wait to get some mixed into my regular decks and give them a try. I was kind of disappointed about not being able to play. Yeah, I'd been looking forward to it for like 2 weeks and then talked about it on last week's show and then didn't get to play, so it was kind of a letdown, but there's always next time. World of Tanks had its 8.0 update, I think it was last week, and absolutely love some of the things in the update and absolutely despise some of the things in the update.
Doesn't that really happen with any game update, though?
Pretty much. There's a known issue at the time. They changed some of the graphic settings and things, and it made the frame rates basically drop to crap on certain settings. But apparently they're fixing that. So I know I used to play on as high as the settings would go, and it dropped me from like 100 and some frames a second down to 40. So I actually had to drop some of the settings because, while 40 sounds like a good number, it tends to drop under combat, which makes it really choppy. They updated the graphics. Some of it looks good. The detail's much higher on the models. Once you play with the new graphics for a while, you go back to the old ones and they look really, really dated. It's like playing an old Nintendo game. But the physics engine was put in, which is kind of neat. I still think it needs a little bit of work. But it's fun to drive off edges where you used to get stuck. If the hills are too steep, you kind of slide sideways, which is kind of fun, especially if you're in a lighter tank that's fast. But on the same note, the very first game we played, a friend of mine drove off one of the cliffs in his light and jumped off of it because he was going fast and broke both his tracks when he landed. The downside to it so far, other than the frame rate issues, has been the new resource trees and the tank branch trees are horrible. I don't know why they changed them. They were so much better the way before. Now the tank trees go left to right instead of up and down like they used to. And they actually scroll off the screen, so you have a scroll bar you gotta go over to get to the others. The only nice thing is they put all the premium tanks on there so you can see where they fit in the tiers. But yeah, I haven't met a single person who likes the new layout for that. And then there's the resource management for your actual vehicles where you go to buy new weapons and upgrades for each tank. And they did the same thing with that. They turned it sideways and have like little lines connecting. And it's just weird. I assumed that I could eventually get used to. I still prefer the old one. But yeah, the actual tank trees are horrible. I wish there was someone to make a UI patch that would put that back the way it was. And because of it, I really haven't been playing that much because it really annoyed me. They changed a lot of the damage tanks do and things like that too. I hate when they try to rebalance things.
Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, one of the weird things they changed is you used to be able to use the function keys to call for help, call for people to help you, or back you up, things like that, return to base. And they changed it to, if you hit Z, it comes up with a radial menu, similar to the one that's in Battlefield 2. I'm sure it's been in more recent games, but that was the last one I remember that had it. But yeah, that's kind of weird, kind of annoying to get used to. They did add a lot of the things that users add in their own custom UIs. I don't know if they actually really pay attention to what people are using out there on their UIs, or if it was just the luck of the draw, but they managed to incorporate a lot of features that custom UIs have. One of my personal favorites, the ability to see the exact number of damage you're doing, rather than a percentage or just seeing the bar move. It literally gives you did 200 points of damage. And you see it tick off, and I think it's cool. If for nothing else, when you're standing there next to parked next to an ally, and you see him get hit, and he takes 2,000 points of damage, whatever's around that corner is really big, and you should probably not go out there. That's one I use the most, I think, out of anything. And they give you a lot of cool options on what you can pick and choose to display, too. I think it's neat and all when they started putting players' names above your tanks by default. But honestly, when I'm shooting at you, I could care less what your name is. I really want to know what you're driving. So I've changed mine so that it shows tank type and chassis rather than just a random player name. And I'm getting my butt kicked because I just realized this guy's a champion, not a veteran. Run!
That's painful.
I'm just running.
Run, Forrest, run! Which is really...
Might actually get away from him.
It would be a whole lot funnier if you were a Savari.
Yeah, the NPCs have some of the weirdest insults they shout during battle in Guild Wars 2. I'm not sure if they were intentionally meant to be funny or if they're just that bad. What was the one your girl kept yelling in the instance we were in? She kept shouting something about you fight like a girl or something like that. You scream like a child. Was that it?
I think it was you fight like a child. I thought it was rather amusing. Honestly, if my girl was Norn, she probably would have turned around and clobbered her.
And if she was a char, they would have went, thanks. Well, that's going to about wrap it up for this week. Sorry to cut it short again, but doing these pre-recorded shows is a little bit more difficult than doing them live. Hopefully we'll get to doing our live shows here soon.
Shouldn't be too long. A couple more weeks.
If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, if you want to be on the show, you can contact us through email. I'm Trueflight at onlinegamingradio.com.
Zanadi at onlinegamingradio.com.
We'll see everybody on our next show, which is going to be Monday, October 22nd. That one's also going to be pre-recorded, but we'll be doing them live here soon. We'll see everybody on the next show. Game on, have fun, and see you then.